Everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Ahmed. I am the founder of effekt.design, and today we're going to be creating some really nice gradients on Figma and then animating them on Jitter. The reason why we're creating gradients because it seems to be very trendy now. Everyone on X is just going crazy with these gradients, and honestly they look pretty cool. Look at this looks really nice. So I just thought, you know what, let's create it from scratch. Let's learn how to create these really nice gradients, these fluid gradients, and then let's learn how to animate them as well, so that we can have full control. Yes, you can prompt ChatGPT or Midjourney to create these gradients for you, but then you don't have the control on these gradients as much. Now, if you want to skip the tutorial and you just want to download the files, we have it on, if you go to effekt.design and then go to the community section, join the Discord community. Right now it's free. You can join it completely for free, and we got some premium resources on there, and we'll continuously add to them as well, so you can go ahead and get access to both the animation and the Figma file, or you can you know, get free access and also follow this tutorial step by step. Right, so we're just gonna jump right into Figma right now, and we're just gonna start creating. Okay, so what I want to do is, firstly, I wanna grab an artboard. I just want to give it a 1920 by 1080. You can, depends on where you're going to use this. If you're going to use it on as a background to on a hero section, you can definitely go ahead and change this. If you want to have it to 1080 by 1080. So size here really depends on your use case. So I'm just going to call this gradient. All right, so there are a couple of key things here. First and foremost, I always like to have gradients on a dark background. It just makes sense for me. I feel it just looks a lot better. One thing is, instead of going for a completely dark background, like a black background, just like add a little bit of saturation to this, and go a bit higher on the lightness. HSL, by the way, this is hue, saturation, lightness. So if you want to go, like, let's say I'm gonna go for like a blue purple for the gradient. So I'm just gonna go here and adjust the hue to like this really dark navy blue color. All right, I think this is good enough. So it's still very dark, but it has this like a slight hint of blue there. And we're just gonna be creating layers here, and we're just gonna be playing around with blur values. That's it. It's that simple. I'm thinking maybe having like I always want to think of this like the gradient itself. What movement should it have? Where does it start? Where does it end? I'm thinking like a tapered like end to it, so maybe something like this. And then, since anyways this is going to be out of the screen, we're gonna actually, let's start with how it tapers off. So we'll just do this, and then we can get a bit of curvature in as such. And then what we can do is we can go back here and then get more of this curvature in it from this bit here. Now I have this really weird shape, which is okay. We're just gonna give it a fill. Let's say we want to go for this bright blue. I'm just gonna cut and paste it inside of my artboard, so it looks like this. Now we're just gonna give this a blur right away. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the effects panel, and I'm gonna give this layer blur of 300. All right, 400. Okay, I'm gonna rotate it a bit here, And I'm just gonna also mess around with this. Until I'm happy with where the gradient starts and ends. Now, one thing I can even do here is give a gradient to my blurred shape. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy the same hex code for the start and finish, and then we can go something like this, like just give it a 0% opacity, and that way it animates from 100% into 0%. I think this looks nice. We can even squish this a bit, right? So it looks like this. All right, I think this is a great start. Now, next step is we want to add more, like another shape. Let's say give it like a smaller purple shape. So what I can do is I can do something like this. And then maybe something like this, and then it tapers off again here. Because I'm following the same sort of vibe of like tapering off. Okay, so here we're just gonna remove the stroke and then give this a fill of, let's say, like a bright purple. Okay, we're gonna give this again layer blur right away, and we're gonna give this, let's say, 300. Let's see how that looks. Not bad, not bad. Oops. Cut and paste it inside of the artboard. I like this. I think this should also have some sort of a gradient, but maybe not 0% opacity. So let's say from 30, or let's say 40 to 100%. Okay. We can also, by the way, experiment with all of these overlay modes. So we can go ahead and say lighten, screen, plus lighter. So there's more here that we can do. We can even go ahead and remove the linear gradient and just mess around with the opacity. So here we can go ahead and give this an 80% opacity. That way. I think I'm just gonna, because I want it to taper off from both ends. So what's nice about this is we can adjust how this looks on the go, right? That is the beauty of creating something that we can just adjust really quickly. And if we want a little bit less, then we just mess around with how like wide the shape is. Okay, so I think this looks good. Now we can go ahead and do more here. I think this already looks really nice, but what I can do here is, again, I can take this shape, I can make this white, okay? And I can press K so I can scale it down. Oh, I didn't duplicate it, my bad. So again, duplicate, Command D, and then K, scale this down, and then make this white, or like something like this. All right, and then can even go like make this really tiny, and then extend it as such. Okay, and then we can lower the opacity here. I think something like this would be good, like 20%. And that way there's another layer. So you can go crazy with this, honestly. And like the way that you want. All of this is editable, so you can increase how much or how little you want, like how big or how little you want the gradient to be. What I want to do here though is let's just give it some final adjustments. Final adjustments. Layer blur. We're just gonna say 100. I mean 150. Yeah, and I think we're ready to take this to and start animating this. Can even move all of this bit down, like right here. By the way, you can even add in effects like drop shadow. No, sorry, a noise here, and give this like a. I don't know how jitter is gonna react to this, but if we say 0.02, oh, that's a bit too much actually. I haven't experimented a lot with this, but there are some really nice like effects here. So 0.03. This looks really good already. More density. Oh, look at this. 0.0725. Yeah. So we can even give one of these vectors the noise and not on the background. So if I command X and just give this one of these gradient the noise, it's just gonna be the effect of the noise is just gonna be on that one. So we're just gonna animate this quickly on jitter. Okay. So I have the plugin ready. So it's the jitter plugin, and it's gonna do its magic. And then we can click on copy. And then open in jitter. And you're gonna have all of these layers on jitter ready for you to animate. So in almost 10 minutes, we're done with our gradient. And by the way, you can just go ahead and change these colors whenever you want, change where they're at, come up with these dynamic different backgrounds. And now let's see how we can animate this. I don't want to go too crazy, honestly, so I'll just have the duration here for the gradient artboard to be 10 seconds. Maybe that's a bit too much. Maybe if we're going to go 7 seconds, that would be nice. And then this is going to be, I'm going to rename this to background blue. And then, oops, so BG blue. And then this is going to be the purple, right? So purple. And then white. I'm going to hide white and purple. And we're going to start with background blue, okay? So we're just going to go ahead here and click on new animation. We're going to go custom. We're going to start moving this. So where are we going to move this? We are going to start here. And then I want to follow that same vibe of like it tapering off. So I want to follow that movement, right? It just feels right. So we're just going to do this for the whole 7 seconds. And now it's moving, right? It's animating. It's animating in a nice way, but I usually like to keep the easing at smooth. In this specific case, I'm going to go for linear because I want it to animate in a linear fashion, all like maybe 7 seconds, a bit too slow. So we're just going to go for like 4 seconds, okay? 4 seconds is fine. There we go. Let's say 5 seconds. All right. And this is going to be our loop length. All right. So it's moving from down here So it's moving from down here all the way to here, right? That way. Okay, very nice. But when we're looping, it's not gonna work because it's just gonna, you see how like the abrupt, there's like a jump. So the end state needs to be like the start state. And we can do multiple things here. The easiest thing to do is we can go ahead and add a new animation and then add in an opacity. So we are going to say we are animating this to 0, and that's going to be the fade out. And then we're just going to duplicate this, Command D, and say 200%. Now, what was going to happen is, well, that's going to be from. So we need to add a from 0 to 100. So it's just going to appear, right? So that's what you see appearing. So it's appearing and it's moving. And then it's disappearing. It's appearing, it's moving, disappearing. So that way what we're doing is we're really, creating this seamless loop. However, I really dislike the fact that like the end state is just a completely dark screen. So what I can do is I can duplicate background blue. I'm going to rename this to duplicated blue. And I'm just going to remove all of these keyframes, because when you duplicate a layer, it's going to duplicate its keyframes as well. And duplicated blue is always going to be there, right? So it's always going to be there. However, we can, so you can see duplicated blue, it's just going to always constantly be there. But we can add a bit more to it as well. We can add another sort of opacity where it starts at 100% and then it starts at 100% and then it goes to 0. Right? And then we can duplicate this, and then it should start at 0% and then go to 100%. And that way there's a bit more of an interesting thing going on, right? So it appears. So here, duplicated blue is completely, you can't see duplicated blue. It only appears towards the end and then starts disappearing again. And the thing that's doing the movement is this background blue, right? So it's just like a nice way to combat the the dark screen end and start. We can now go ahead and play around with the purple. So we're just gonna add a new animation here. This is gonna be move again all the way across the timeline. We can start purple outside of here, and then it goes all the way up here. And that way we are going to just see the purple like zooming in, which is not exactly what I want. How can we make this slower? So we're just gonna go ahead and start it here and then end it all the way here. So that way it feels a bit slower. So it feels a bit slower now. And we're gonna add in again the same sort of opacity to 0 from 100, and then so it's from 100 to 0, that's the fade out, and then from 0 to 100, that's the fade in. Okay. So it's an interesting sort of motion that we have. Messing around with these keyframes and the start position. You can even go ahead and create a linear movement. That way we're not going to have a quick sort of motion to this. So it's just a matter of like controlling where it starts and ends, and then the timing as well. And that's it. Like if you want to go ahead and animate the white bit as well, and that could just be opacity. So from 0 to 100, and then duplicate this, and from 100 to 0. And that's it. I think this should have everything that we need. So it's animating in. It's looping beautifully. It's not, there's no abrupt cuts or something that's happening that's a bit weird. And what you can do is, if this feels too fast, you just group everything and increase the duration here, and that's it. Like, there we go. It's a lot slower. It feels a lot smoother. There we go. You can use it as a background to, let's say, a hero section, or a background to some text. Follow me on Twitter. There we go. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, this really works as an amazing background, and you have full control over the colors. By the way, you can just go ahead, like from here, just go into SVG attributes and change these colors if you wish, to whatever you want, and it's just gonna work as well. So you have full control. You can even go back to the Figma file, edit how, because we've figured that we want to have like a tapered end, and we want the gradient movement to be like this. But what if you want like a wavy sort of feel towards the bottom? So then you can basically play around with that. But if you've enjoyed the tutorial, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It helps push this content to people who need it. And yeah, and follow for more tutorials like this and tips like that. So thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.